Good. Hi everyone, Bob Mehsikomer here. You know, 15 years ago I shot a commercial for this beautiful facility. I've been fishing the resource behind me for nearly 42 years. Yeah, 42 years. And 31 years ago I got a chance to meet Rich, Kay, Randy, Holly. Well, Randy and Holly not so much. You don't know Randy and Holly. We got a chance to meet them at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. And I've been coming to Century Lodge ever since. Folks, if you want a really exciting vacation, you want a really exciting fishing trip, then Century Lodge is one of those places to go. My good friend Jim Gracka here has just spent a week with me on smallmouth bass, and Jim can tell you, how big was your biggest fish you had nearly had your hands on?
Nearly between 6.5 and 7.
6.5 and 7 pound smallmouth, folks, and we caught a lot of smallmouth.
Yeah, no, it's good. Good. A lot of good. Okay, you want
Tell you what, I'm going to walk away from this and let the guests that come to Century Lodge speak for the lodge. There are multi-generation families that come here, and they come here for a reason. This is Bob Mehsikomer. This is Jim Gracka. We're going to put this thing on the road and head south. In the meantime, you enjoy what the folks have to say about Rich, Kay, Randy, Holly, and all the staff at Century Lodge on Osbourne Bay in Eagle Lake. I think you'll be impressed.
We had one pole and just sitting in the water though, and then it just started ripping out line, and so I asked my dad, I think that's a fish, who's gonna get that? And he tells me, you. It's scary but a good feeling. And then so you take it, you know, and then you start reeling, and then it starts pulling away. You just keep tension on the line, start reeling, and then it tried to go onto the boat once, and I didn't know what to do then. And then so my dad just like grabbed my hands and like shoved the rod down, and then he taught me how to do that. And then it tried to do it again, and then my favorite part of the story was though when I got it close enough to net, and my grandpa netted it. I just had this great feeling of like I just caught my first muskie, and it was awesome.
So my grandpa, his great uncle, the one that started it all, he caught 2 muskie, and we're all like, that's the trophy fish here. Like, you want to get one of those. If you catch one of those, it's a successful trip. And so he caught 2 of those, like in a pretty short amount of time. And so like he was really excited, and I was like, wow, that'd be really cool if I found one my first trip out here. And it's still pretty cool. We all got one already. And so I just threw my line in there, and then a big fish bit on, and for a second I thought it was a snag, because I've been used to just catching little walleye, and it was like, obviously it fought a lot harder than them, and so I pulled it in, and I was like, wow, that's a muskie. So we got the net. We had to get him in there, because it's hard to bring him in without using a net, especially for us. And so I got him in, I took a picture with him, and then yeah, it was a great time.
That's very, very cool.
So I was with my dad and my grandfather, and it was our first full day here at Century Lodge, and we were kind of just still fishing with a jig, trying to catch some walleyes. And so I was just sitting there with the rod, and just kind of bopping it up and down, you know, and to try and catch some walleyes for shore lunch. And so I did. I caught a walleye, kind of like a little small one. But then, right as I set the hook to get the walleye, a muskie came up and swallowed the walleye. And like when I was just doing that, I'm just like, what just happened? And my dad was just like, open the bail, and so I opened I let the bail out to you know, kind of give the muskie some what I like to call edge room or elbow room.
It works.
And so like we were just kind of figuring out like how we were going to catch it. Like my grandfather got ready with the net, and after that my dad just told me, okay, close the bail and just start reeling. If he tries to go under the boat, don't let him go under the boat. And so I did like a little countdown in my head, and then I closed the bail, and I kind of started reeling and pulling it in, and he started fighting. And so like he went all over the place. He went all around the boat. I had to try and keep him away from the motor though, because because an example of that would be like a couple days later, I had a northern on my line, but the line got tangled in the motor and it got snapped. And so I kept the muskie away from the motor, and I could pull it up and I could see him. And so my grandfather got ready with the net, and then I finally got him out of the water, and I just kind of set him into the net, and then we pulled him into the boat, and we just kind of took some pictures, waited, stuff like that.
It was fun though, huh? Yeah, a lot of fun. Our fourth year. Your fourth year coming to the lake, coming to Century. And what are some of the experiences that you had?
Well, one of the reasons I love coming here is that it's secluded, it's on an island. The fishing has been phenomenal every single year. We've never had a bad day. Always caught big fish, always got our limit to take home. And the lodge is beautiful.
Can't argue with that. Pretty much nailed it.
You mentioned some of the improvements they've made here at Century Lodge, especially in the last 4 to 5 years. There's been an awful lot of work. We're sitting on a beautiful deck on the north side of the lodge right now, overlooking the lake. And when I came in, the first thing I said to Rich and Randy and Kay was, wow, what an addition.
All the cabins have new decks, new windows, screen doors. It's amazing what they've done to it since we've been coming. It's amazing.
How about some fishing experiences? What have you guys had on this trip that's going to stand out in your mind?
The muskie that got away.
Oh no! You had one get away?
Yes, I did.
You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, it would have been the biggest of my life.
Oh, Lordy. Tell us a little bit about how she missed it with the net.
Oh, you know the story.
It was my fault. I'll say
Oh
it was.
no!
I'm not going to throw her under the bus, but
Under the boat will work just fine.
it was a big one.
Yeah? What happened?
Well, I hooked it. It ran by the boat. She stood there with the net, looked at it, and just kept going. It didn't look back.
No.
I've quite personally had that same experience where I've had it on and they've looked at it with the net as it goes by.
Yeah.
That thing goes in the water, please.
It was pretty big, so I was nervous.
You guys got a chance to go, I believe you did, now correct me if I'm wrong. If you didn't, one of the other group in your party did, had a chance to go over to Wabagoon and fish crappies. Tell me a little bit about that.
That's just an amazing lake for the crappie. It's just, when you're netting 2 crappie at a time, it's a good time.
Yeah, and Randy's got him dialed in over there, doesn't he?
Yes.
He does.
Yeah.
Definitely does. I love bobber fishing, and that is my day to fish and relax.
You just mentioned bobber fishing. Casey back at home is going to go bobber fishing. See, I told Casey, I don't bobber fish.
Bobber fishing is fun.
Bobber fishing is fun. It's fun.
It is. It's
Yeah.
relaxing. For me, I like it.
So the deck's a pretty popular place here tonight at Century Lodge. We seem to be having a lot of guests come flying through. Let's introduce ourselves as we go around the table.
I'm Marty Yost. I'm actually from Arizona, U.S.
Arizona.
John Malota, Burr Ridge, Illinois.
Kevin Renauer, Bradenton, Florida.
Wow.
John Klein, Egg Harbor, Wisconsin.
Wow, so we've got quite the geography involved here.
Correct.
So how long have you folks been coming to Century?
3 years now.
3 years. All of you?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
a rookie.
As a
I'm a
group.
rookie.
Well, that means you caught the biggest fish so far.
He did. He did.
Today,
If you're a rookie and you don't catch the biggest fish of the trip, then you don't get invited back next year. Okay? So let's talk a little bit about why you're here. What brings you to Century Lodge?
Flush toilets, hot showers. What more do you want?
You got it all. And an island.
And on an
A
island.
private island.
I being the first time here, just following these guys up here, taking their advice and following them. So, and I'm glad I did.
Well, apparently, number one, the advice has been pretty good because you've caught the biggest fish. You're in God's country here at Century Lodge. Absolutely. So they've got you going in the right direction. And you, sir?
I would say Randy. He's a great host.
Randy.
Yeah, he's a great host.
He is a great host.
It puts you on a fish, make sure you're happy. It took me yesterday to Crappie Lake and we just killed him. You know, so
He works real hard.
He works real
especially
hard.
being new to this
Yeah.
lake. We've been coming up to Canada for a lot of years. But
40 plus years you've been coming to Canada, but like you said,
But-
Randy does.
So he sits down with us, at the beginning of the trip and every day, maps it out, tells us where the spots are, how to fish them, and spends a lot of time with us to make sure that we're on the fish.
That's a significant difference, isn't it?
Yes,
Oh, yes.
it is. Absolutely.
When you can minimize the amount of effort by sharing in the knowledge of somebody like Randy who knows not only the resource, but he's a fisherman.
yes.
Yeah, you can have lodge owners, and I've traveled all over the world, from lodges to lodges, from Brazil all the way to Alaska, and you have some lodge owners who are just that. They're lodge owners, they're business people, and they do a very good job. Randy, as a business person, does a very good job, and as a fisherman.
That's correct.
And that's a difference, because he shares information.
Correct.
Biggest tip Randy ever gave you, what do you think it is?
Biggest tip is Cedar Point.
Cedar Point. And
Cedar
yours?
Point.
It's probably the jigging here. We're, doing a lot of casting and trolling in the past, and we jig pretty. We jigged more here the past couple years than we have, I'd say.
So he slowed you down and made you come in contact with the lake.
Yeah, and maybe that's, we cast, troll here too, but jigging, is pretty big here, and he's, helping us find where the holes are, where the spots are, how to mark them, how to read. It's a different kind of fishing.
Yeah, different kind.
So, yeah.
You being new, you probably picked up on a lot of things. So what would
Yeah,
be...
and I like the besides the fishing, I like the wildlife, and he told us where he thought a mother moose and a calf were. She's raising her calf on an island here, and we were fortunate to see them, along with bear, eagle, and what else did we see? Pretty much.
Of course, the loons.
Yeah, the loons. So
Full package.
yeah, it was just fantastic.
And you, young man?
I think the biggest tip he gave me is not to go around the island.
Yeah, do not pass the gas dock on the west side of the island. It's dangerous.
And I did it not knowing, and luckily I didn't hit anything, but yeah.
But yeah.
No, he marks the maps really well. I'm a map reader.
Uh-huh. Introduce yourself.
I'm Bill Bergeson from Austin, Texas.
I'm Ty Bergesen from Austin, Texas.
And I'm Ryan Bergeson, also from Austin, Texas, or Georgetown, Texas.
Now, you guys realize that Texas is far removed from Ontario, Canada. So what brings you to Century Lodge in Osbourne Bay? Them. That's a good response. I like your response. Let's start with you.
My brother introduced me to this resort about 33 years ago. And we came up, and back then you had bad gear, and we froze, it was cold, and we caught a lot of fish. Loved it. And then Rich bought the place 2 years later, and came up a couple of years, and then introduced the fishing to my son Ryan. And Ryan came up when he was 12 years old, and it really proved the measure of a man, because we'd get up at 4 o'clock, we'd be on the water at 5, we'd go down to Nivens Bay and we'd fish and make sure we got shore lunch, and then we after shore lunch we would come back here probably about 4:30 and scrub up for dinner, and then we'd go out after dinner and come back in probably around 8:30. And as a 12-year-old, that was a tough ordeal, and I think made a man out of him, and it's become a tradition for the last 31 years for me.
Well, I agree. I was 12 years old when I came up here, and I've come up, I don't know, about every year for the first several years until about college or medical school, and then it's been about every other year, every third year, and I love the place. I mean, some of my best memories of growing up happened here, because I spent a week of my life every year here.
And I know that you have your son with you, because I've interviewed him already today. He's a pretty colorful young man. He's had a little bit of an experience, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
So with this presence of the audience that's going to watch this and the two loved ones next to you, tell them what you think about Century Lodge, Osbourne Bay, and the experience.
Well, I mean, it's just like awesome, like, 'cause it's, you know, thinking about catching a fish as big as me is weird, but it's just awesome. And then, fishing, and then, taking in all the advice from my grandpa and my dad. It's just been awesome.
Hi guys, this is Randy Tyron. I'm on the deck up front of our lodge. Supper time, we're having prime rib tonight. It's my dad Rich. We're the owners of Century Lodge. It's a family run operation we've had for 30 years now, so our 30th anniversary. Very thankful for that. We've got a lot of repeat guests in camp. In fact, I think everybody except one's, and the new guy just got a big fish today, so we're having a great start to our year. We're in the early part of June, have had some great fishing, a lot of bass fishing right now, a lot of topwater action with that. Also the walleye fishing's been great. Getting some nice pike along the way, and we're looking forward to our muskie season starting up the third Saturday in June. So, Dad, do you want to say a little bit about our lodge?
Well, first of all, I'd say something about Bob. I met Bob 31 years ago at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And he's been a great friend ever since. The friendship's only grown. You shot with him when you were 12.
Yeah.
And again at 17, I think.
Yeah, 17? Yeah, a couple times.
And so we really enjoyed that. Actually, the original owner of Century Lodge was Ernie Schussler. He actually built South Shore first, and then he got back down here in Osbourne. Some native people showed him that opening off the main lake, and the late 50s, just before the Crown put a moratorium on the sale of islands in Canada, Ernie was able to get squeezed in right under the wire. Bought this island, sold South Shore, bought this island, and before that time, the only people that fished this area were some Indian, native people and some trappers, so it's always been remote, hard to access. Kay and I, my wife, who's cooking for us now, cooking the prime rib, came here 40 plus years ago as a guest when I bought the lodge when Randy was about 9.5 years old and stood about that tall.
When you were pregnant with Holly, my sister. So. Good.
her.
I got her.
You got her now.
I got her.
Stay with her. Stay with her.
I got her.
Yeah, stay with her. Stay with her.
She's big.
Beckman's wet, so just stay with her. Keep her tight. She's gonna try some antics at the boat here now.
She can't get away, right?
No, what you wish you could, but just take your time. Take your time.
She's right there.
I know. She's not ready for the net though.
Little slack or no?
No. Bring her back this way. Keep her coming. Keep her coming.
How big? How big is she?
She's yours.
We got her. I got her. That's
40.
the one that I pulled up earlier, right?
That's her probably. I'm going to say 43.
Good.
43 right in there. Was that worth it?
That was worth it. That was quick. She was hot tonight.
She was hot.
She wanted it.
Exactly. Paying attention to those little details. Exactly where this fish was staying allows you to come back in and pinpoint cast. You put your jackpot, that little tuft of weed that I was talking about sticking up. Sometimes when you're fishing a spot, you need to pay attention.
Actually, back then the regs weren't quite what they are now, so Randy started guiding when he was 12. And then fished with Bob, I think, when you were 12 and then 17. So
it's been a long time.
It's been a great life and something the whole family thoroughly enjoys.
So this is our 30th anniversary. We're a family-run outfit, as you can tell. We're the only lodge on the whole southeast end of Eagle Lake, which is prime because we don't have lodges on either side of us. It's a remote, wind-protected end of the lake. Excellent topwater fishing. We have really nice tea-colored stained water, so on those high sky sunny days, we're still putting a lot of fish in the boat. We're also in the shallow end of the lake, so these fish in the summertime don't go suspend. They actually are forced to stay shallow, and now you're putting them in a condition where their metabolism's ramped up, so they're forced to feed more often in shallow water, so it's just ideal for incredible topwater action. So we got cute little cabins right on the water's edge. All the cabins have their own private bathroom, showers, hot chlorinated water. Electricity's on all the time. We've got 7 docks surrounding the island. All the docks have electricity to them. They're nicely spaced out, the cabins are, and they're not right on top of one another. And it's just a great feel here. We're, like I said, a family-run outfit. I can't stress that enough. We've got a lot of third-generation kids coming up to our lodge, and it's a great place to make memories and have a wonderful time with your family. So we'd love to have you up, and look forward to talking to you.
My estimation. Let's see if we want to fish our toes. Yep, got it.
Ooh, that's a netter.
Oh, it's a netter. Listen to him, it's a netter. It's a netter. In other words, get to that Bob. You made me hand grab mine.
That was a 2-pounder. It was a 4.5. Ooh, maybe better than that. Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh, look at that. Ooh. Look at that.
What is that?
That's 5+. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, Bob.
Is that sweet? Here, I got pliers.
I can't thank you enough for taking me on this trip, buddy.
Hang on.
Look at that, folks, huh?
Oh, look how fast she is.
That's 5 and change. You agree?
That's a very big fish.
That doesn't mean you agree. Here, let me go by.
Doesn't mean you agree. No, don't mess it up.
That's beautiful. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a nice fish.
Butterball.
Butterball.
That's what you come to Century Lodge for, right there. Woo!